In this video, we're going to be coming up with a research system for my crafting game, which I'm making in C from scratch without an engine and trying to get it shipped to Steam in 90 days. Whoa, slow down, man. Before we get into that, g'day, my name's Randy. I recently just got done finishing this demo and releasing it to Steam of a game I've been working on for a while. And upon releasing it, I realized that I may or may not have overscoped the living shit out of it. So I decided to put that on pause and work on a smaller crafting game, which is the thing that we're making in this video. I have my coffee here. It is a fresh morning. Okay, so what's the game even about? Good question. Well, I said crafting, right? But yeah, we're just gonna copy Forager and Outpath. So the core loop of the game is basically gonna be this. That right there is pretty much the game. We're gonna copy this. Yeah, that's right. Copy. Steal. Yoink. Plagiarize. I'm gonna plagiarize the living shit out of this gameplay loop. Just like this guy did already, except he took Forager and turned it into 3D. Look, exact same thing. But we're gonna take this and squish it back down into 2D. I love plagiarism. So, research system. Why do we even need a research system? Well, there's currently no way for like the player to progress through anything. Everything is all just like unlocked at the start. Research station. So you see how we got like some grayed out content over here? We basically need a way of drip feeding the game to the player instead of just having everything unlocked at the start, right? And in Outpath, you know, you click on things. This guy isn't researched, so then we hit the research button and he just, you know, does his little thing. Oh, this just feels so satisfying. Oh, I could do this all day. So by hitting things, you get experience, and you can spend the experience at the research table to research things. That is really the gist of the game. The fuck did I just unlock? Oh, yeah. And then, you know, build buildings to craft more things, to build more buildings to craft more things. You get the idea. It's really a crafting game at its core. There is no combat in here. You just click on things, and that's how you get resources. It is like such an incredibly simple and beautiful game idea, so I'm gonna steal it. In other words, we want a progression mechanic for the game. And I basically boiled it down into 3 steps. So first up, we have completely unknown. It's just grayed out. What the hell even is this thing? The second step is known, but you haven't researched it yet. And how you get from here to here is basically an ingredient unlock. So you find the recipe for the thing in the world, you discover the resources for the thing, and it unlocks it. I did this in my other game, ARCANA. Like that. It's my game ARCANA, by the way. It's on hold because basically I overscoped it. Not gonna lie. It's still pretty fun though. Like, there's a solid 2 hours of playtime right now. I just basically made a bunch of really bad design decisions from the get-go. So that's why I'm taking a break from that to work on this smaller game, which is just about crafting. Taking a small subset of what I'm doing in ARCANA and just going all in on that. Anyway, so that's the ingredient unlock. What I didn't have in ARCANA was some way of researching it. I didn't have the third step, which was researching it in a research table. Now it's known, but you have to spend some kind of resource, experience or time or whatever to unlock the thing. So then you can actually place it down in the world and use it. Now, I'm going to be diving into the code of what I'm actually doing here and just giving a commentary behind my thought process and whatnot. I'm typing out the entire game in this single file, entry Randy game. It's 1600 lines of code so far, which is pretty good because honestly, creating files is for pussies. Yeah. So Ooga Booga is the game engine that we're using. I say game engine because it's not really a game engine. It's just like a simple set of tools for us to use and focus on making the game epic. The structure of this is you fork and then just write your game. Add in your own file down to the bottom here and then just write the living shit out of the game using Ooga Booga as tools. Excellent. Back to business. So it all started with getting the research table up and running. I just program arted out this guy, and now we can just plonk him down in the world. All I'm really doing here is just, you know, adding a research station to the trusty archetype enum thing, and then just plonking that in. Nothing news here. So, now we can place it down. Cool. What next? Okay, so this is a little sneak peek of what's about to come. I started it, but then I just gave up midway through because I'm like, this is too complicated. I'll figure it out later. But basically what we're doing here is we have this defined now that we can toggle on and off. When it's on, you know, we can use it to do all kinds of things like, you know, give us a bunch of inventory items or place this guy down in the world because we just have this defined out here. But if we disable this, the general idea here is that like we're actually testing the full playable game. We're going to do a bit more here later on with having this be automated, but for now, we can turn this on and off to make the game shippable, right? All right, next up, in this one, I did a rename of the entity archetype to archetype ID. I don't know why I didn't have it named archetype ID before. A little bit weird. That's gonna pollute the shit out of this commit. Whoopsies. All right, so now we're heading into meaty territory. Yeah, it's meat time, baby. So we got the, first little mock-up of like the entire layout of what the research UI is gonna look like. I did a little bit of brainstorming in Excalibur, which is my personal favorite way to just come up with UIs. You could use Figma or something, but I kind of like the scuffed nature of this. Like, it actually forces you to be kind of loose because everything like looks rough and sketchy. So this is the ultimate UI that I came up with. Initially, we actually kind of want it to be looking something a little bit more like this. Exactly like Outpath, have more of a tech tree style thing, but this is going to be a bit more difficult to pull off. So we're going to table that for now, just to, get this up and running and prototyped out. It's just going to be a list. So that's what I've gone for. You select the thing on the left, and then on the right, it basically just shows you everything about it and the ability to research. Now, the question here came up, what is the resource that we're going to be spending to research the thing? In Outpath, there's this experience meter over here, but I'm not really a massive fan of like having a number, and I've been playing the shit out of Factorio recently. And I really like how Factorio does it. So you basically craft another item to research. That way it still fits like within the crafting theme of the game. Like, you just craft another thing and you use that to research the thing. It feels kind of good because we're using the crafting system to advance and progress. And this is the thing that you use to research inside the labs. So you select what to research, bing bong, and then it takes those and just beep, which I think is really cool for a couple reasons. One, you actually have to physically craft the items, which is cool. You can click on this guy and it'll just craft. Two, we can add in a second thing, which is what Factorio does with the green yummy juice. Dude, I really want to drink that. And that's just a different crafting recipe. It takes extra stuff to do, right? So I like that. I really do. So that's the route that I went down. Dude, side note, I fucking love Factorio. Holy shit. Funnily enough, right now in the game, I'm in the process of figuring out how I can automate building these guys. Anyway, so let's go line by line what I did to create this thing. It's not functional yet. It's just, a very basic skeleton of the research thing. Let me give you a little tour. So we're doing all the UI stuff in the excellent do UI stuff function. Beautiful. And literally all we're doing is just adding in a new UX state, which is UX research. We enter into that state by using the interaction system that we've got over here for selecting the thing. And then, we just get into the UX research thing. I basically just copied the workbench UI that I did the day before and just made a little bit of tweaks. The high level motto of the story here is, instead of like sitting here and coming up with like a UI system and then so I can use that UI system to be more efficient, I'm just cavemaning the shit out of things and just typing out the entire thing. Like, literally, it's just we're drawing a bunch of rectangles and text, and that's it. And the main problem here to solve is like the positioning of things. I'm like slowly but surely getting better at this, because in the past I did actually use a big UI system to write all my UIs. That's how I did everything in ARCANA, but it was honestly overkill. It was jumping the gun. So with this project, I'm going back to first principles, bottom up. How do we do UI for a game that's like dead simple to do? And honestly, I'm really liking the idea of just typing it out over and over again. Like, all of these, I'm just typing out the UI. It's just kind of magnificent ooga booga caveman style. At this point, we have the craft button in, but it doesn't actually do anything. So we need some kind of material cost. So at this point, I added in the item that we're going to be using to research, which I'm just calling like experience. I don't know. We'll have other items that we can use later on, but for now, this is like the equivalent of the red yummy potion in Factorio. So I added that in. That's really all this commit is doing. So with that being said, I also updated to the latest Ooga Booga because Charlie has been absolutely hammering away at the commits, doing some audio stuff. So yeah, pulled those in. And now we are on to the next thing, which is the research progress bar. Yeah. So at this point, we have the experience, the essence in the inventory, just spawning some in for test purposes. We can go up and research this guy by clicking, and it'll consume stuff from the it actually won't consume stuff at this stage. But we can hit research and there's like a progress bar to complete. So the general idea here is that, like in Factorio, we want to spend stuff to slowly kind of research the thing. And at some point, I actually want to do a more advanced version of this UI and have you like place stuff in so that it's kind of like the furnace in Minecraft, how you fuel stuff. And then, you know, that just cooks and then adds progress like that. That way, this entire thing will be very automatable. So, you know, maybe we can explore a bit of Factorio-style automation in the late game. For now, it's like way too overscope and overkill, so I'm not even going to touch it. Keeping it simple. Very cool. In this commit, the only thing I really did was add in the research bar, which is just this guy right here. Now we're just drawing a background rect and then a fill rect on top based on the research alpha. Goes from 0 to 1. I think I got this from Unreal Engine back in the day. I think like that's where I learned it. But yeah. Pretty cool. The way we calculate the alpha is based on the unlock data research progress. So this is a new thing. Basically, we're storing state about all the buildings and, you know, we're just calling it unlock state, right? It's pretty simple. We just have an array of unlock state, which indexes in based off the building ID. So we can just use that to index into the array and then store some data that we are storing inside the world. So that means we'll have it serialized out later on. So yeah, pretty straightforward stuff. It just adds more to the research. Epic. And then it unlocks it. So what do we do after that? Well, in here, I just did a little bit more UI stuff. I just added a percent bar. That's like all I did. The reason I broke this out because I added in a new kind of concept up here called the draw text with pivot. And then we pass in a pivot based on what we want. This feels pretty good to use. Yeah, so that's us just drawing it in right here. Pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. It's a lot more condensed than what we were doing earlier because in order to get the pivot, first we have to like pre-measure the thing and then, you know, be able to do some calculations based off that. So epic. That's all we really added in this one though. Next up, man, I love being able to jump around to the commits and just like instantly check out and build. Like good luck doing that in Unity. Without, you know, spending 20 minutes trying to restart and have shit work. I mean, you have to check out and then close down and then open back up again. Big pain in the ass. Anyway, finally added in the requirement for the researching. So we're literally just checking the inventory to see if we have some experience items stored. And then on the research, we just subtract it. And yeah, we have like a little icon here rendering for the requirement. We can't hit the research button until. Also added in this little thing in the world so you could go out and like collect it. I'm not entirely sure how we're going to feed this to the player in the actual game, but for now, you know, good enough solution. Maybe we'll drop some randomly when you destroy trees or whatever, or maybe it's something you have to craft in like the workbench. Plenty of options. We'll figure it out later when we flip into content mode and actually, you know, trying to extend the game content. Right now we're in system building mode. So we're just trying to build out all the different systems in the game. That way it's playable, then add in content. Anyway, we can just research it that way. So it'll just actually consume it. Very cool. The only thing I added in here is like the material icon list. This will eventually be like a list of things and we'll have a recipe for the things that it needs to research, like Factorio. Maybe it needs the red one and the green juice and the black juice, or maybe it just needs the red juice. Eventually, you know, we'll expand that out here. But for now, we're just drawing, you know, the icon and the text. Very epic. And if we don't have enough, we just basically turn it red. That's like the easiest way to communicate that something is missing, is it's just red. That's also what I did with the workbench. So like at a glance, you can see exactly what you're missing. Maybe we have to do the 0 of 1 in here. I don't know. We'll play test with it and see if people are getting stuck. But for now, that seems like a good guess at what the user experience should be. So yeah, with the experience vein, we're just randomly spawning a bunch more in, and then we have them drop the experience items in here. Pretty cool. Last but not least, the current state of the game, the master branch. Oh, we can't place down them anymore. We can only place down the research table. So this is actually a form of progression. We physically cannot place down the workbenches. We have to go in here and research it first. So let's gather some of this stuff and let's research the workbench. 1, 2. Now we can place it down. Epic. Yeah, now we're gaming, dude. You know, this is almost a playable game. Still got a long way to go, but that is the first pass of the research system. And now how I achieve this is pretty straightforward. Basically made the fact that it's unlocked be functional. So it's based on the research progress. If we're at 100%, then, you know, we're fully unlocked. And we use this to determine if we can actually build it. So in the building UI, when you hit C, this is the building UI so far. Very simple. So in here, we grab if the building that we're rendering is unlocked. If it isn't, we just black it out. And we also just don't allow the player to click and place it. Very, very straightforward. And then when we actually research, we add in a percent per research experience. This is kind of confusing, but basically in the setup, we define how much we research based on each click of the experience, if that makes sense. We get 25% for the furnace. So that means it takes 4 clicks to get to 100. And then the workbench is 2 clicks to get to 100 because it's 50%. Kind of confusing. We'll clean this up later on when we add in the actual recipe, I think. But now it's just a funky way of making it work. And then once we get past 100, we set the research progress to 100. For all intents and purposes, that is now functionally, literally functionally unlocked. Now we'll want to do some epic feedback in here, like we'll do some awesome stuff like that in the future. But for now, this is a good first pass of the research system complete. Right now, it's only for building structures. It's not for items in the crafting. So, you know, when we add more items in here, we will probably also want to put those inside the research system somehow. But right now, it's just buildings to keep it simple. So that right there is more or less step 1 of the progression mechanic. We only did this last section of the transformation, doing the research, but that's kind of the hardest thing. The ingredient unlock is going to be really easy. We actually just need to add in a bit more content so it's easier to test with things, because right now we only have the 3 items, the experience, the wood, and the rock. So we definitely need to do that. And that is day 10 complete. And now we go back to my absolute favorite part of game development, which is the blank whiteboard. The what to do next. What is the most important thing next for us to design in the game to make it more playable? Good question. I think it's probably going to be cost. Cost for placing things down, because right now you can just place down an infinite amount of these guys. So I want to have some kind of material cost for building the thing. So that means having a better tooltip or building thing. And then that also means having a recipe for building thing, because when we do that, we're basically going to actually have a reason to go out and get wood and collect resources out in the world. So that's going to be the biggest bang for buck in terms of like next steps to prototype out. Yeah, so we'll probably tackle that in the next one. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the vid, make sure to hit the subscribe button and ding the little notifications so you get notified for the next video. Peace.